Let's see what the Bible has to say. Let's begin by examining the original Hebrew and Greek words that are used in the Bible for the word hell. In the Old Testament, there is only one Hebrew word translated hell, and it is the Hebrew word Sheol. In Professor Young's exhaustive concordance to the Bible, we find that the word hell in the King James Bible is the Hebrew word Sheol. If you look it up, for every time that the word Sheol is used, you would find that everyone who has ever lived goes into Sheol at death, the good, the bad, and the indifferent. But this fact is hidden in our King James translation. As Professor Young's lexicon shows, Sheol is translated 3 different ways. Grave, 31 times, hell, 31 times, and pit, 3 times. The important point is that every time a good person died, then the King James translation says he went into the grave. But if it was a bad person who died, the translators supplied the word hell. The reader of this translation is thus left with the impression that there are 2 different places that one may go at death. There's one place for the good, there's a different place for the bad. But in the original Hebrew, that's not true. Everyone, the good and the bad, go into the same condition at death, the condition the Old Testament calls Sheol. Consider the patriarch Jacob, the father of the nation of Israel. He sent his favorite son Joseph to see the other sons who were tending the flocks. Joseph's brothers, in their jealousy, seized him and sold him into slavery. Then they told a story that made Jacob believe that Joseph had been killed by wild animals. He was so grief-stricken that he said, "I will go down into the grave," it's Sheol, "unto my son mourning." Jacob not only expected to go to Sheol, he was sure his beloved son was already there because he thought he was dead. Let's look at another example. Job, a holy prophet of God, was suffering so much that he literally prayed to go to Sheol. And this is what he said. "Oh, that thou wouldst hide me in the grave," the Hebrew is Sheol. "All the days of my appointed time will I wait till my change come. Thou wilt call, and I will answer thee." Was Job praying to go to a hell of torment? Certainly not. Job was praying that he might die and go to sleep in Sheol and be taken out of his pain. He knew he would be at rest, unconscious, until the time when God would call him back to life in the kingdom. Let's look at a few scriptures that confirm that Sheol merely means the condition of death, unconsciousness, sleep. It's the condition that everyone experiences, whether good or evil, whether Christian, heathen, Jew, Muslim, or atheist, all await the resurrection that Job anticipated. Psalm 146 speaks of man's death. It says, "His breath goeth forth, he returns to his earth, in that very day his thoughts perish." Well, if one's thoughts have perished, they are unconscious, they're asleep. Now, this is the New American Standard translation of a text in Ecclesiastes chapter 9. Now, in this translation, the Hebrew word Sheol is left untranslated. "Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might, for there is no work, nor device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in Sheol, whither thou goest." This is a perfect description of unconscious sleep. It is the condition to which we are all going, as it ends with the words, "whither thou goest." And thus we can see from our brief look at a few scriptures that none of the misunderstanding about hell would have occurred if the translators had consistently rendered the Hebrew Sheol with the English word grave. Let's look at one final scripture in the Old Testament. It shows that Sheol is not a hell of everlasting torment. In fact, hell will be destroyed. I will ransom them from the power of the grave. I will redeem them from death. O death, I will be thy plagues. O Sheol, I will be thy destruction. This is a prophecy of how Christ's death would redeem all mankind. As a result, everyone will be resurrected from Sheol, the grave. Eventually, the condition of death itself will be destroyed. So instead of the word hell, with its unfortunate imagery of fire and brimstone, we should substitute the word grave when we read the Old Testament.